so far is unpenetrated like your mum. Evening all, welcome back to Factorio. So today we're going to do a bit of a blueprint retrospective. We've been basically going through all of the various things we've done. We're going to show you NAUVIS first, because this is probably my magnum opus. It's the car from Mad Max. It's like the thing that I want to build the most. I like NAUVIS because you can sort of do large rambling bases, and it's kind of cool. Plus we have our Spidertron buddies here. So without further ado, lot of books here. I think what we'll do is I'll show you the NAUVIS book, but I will reference some of these other ones. So things like trains, for example, I've ended up putting them also in here. But what I want to do is try and make this a self-contained book. So there's a lot of duplication here. But if you want these blueprints, check out the description of the video. You are more than welcome to try them. Just forward me some sort of element of quiche and we will be all good, brother. So the way it works is it starts at the top with kind of the infrastructure thing. So starting with the most obvious one. So we have the city block. This thing, I don't think, oh, I did make it. So it does that. There we go. So it's pretty much snap to grid. It's got all of the bits inside it that you need, like the robot ports, the power, and so on, and it does work. So you can upgrade it if you wish, but I haven't done that on this one. I've left it standard. Oh no, I didn't. I did upgrade it. There we go. But you can downgrade it if that helps as well. And then accompanying this is the defensive wall blueprint, which so far is unpenetrated like your mum. And it's kind of an interesting thing because you can obviously spin it. It's got its own station within it. Let's just plant one there. It's got its own station within it, which is already kind of set to the train network. So as long as you have an oil train, it will detect when you've dropped it. Now I did it this way, so each individual cell, see there's all these different flamer stations. Oh, we have chaos. What has happened here? Interesting. Why have we got an issue here? Oh my gosh, literally I could spend days messing with this. Why? Let's just see if that works. Anyway, we will not be waylaid. So this thing basically is supplying, if that makes sense. There is also a series of blueprints that you can include, which I will include in the book, that give you the ability here to have things like, I mean, you can have a passenger station. So literally this thing sends for a train if you're out in the wilds. I'll show you that in just a moment, but this is probably the more important one. This thing acts as a supply station. So again, having a train with the various things on it, it's all there. So it's a pretty neat little solution, let me tell you. And so this defensive wall, it does form quite a useful thing. I have upgraded it again, so feel free to downgrade the quality as needed. We then have some basic stuff. So I like train loaders that work like this. You may not, so you can repurpose this design. It has a built-in balancer, so effectively everything's nice and steady, and you can include stack inserters if you wish, and you can downgrade as you wish as well. And then conversely to this, we have the unloader, which again operates the same way, and it bungs stuff off the train and puts it again into a balancer, which works quite nicely. So those four kind of form the basis of the entire base, really. You have your infrastructure, you have your power, you have your bots. If I just show the bot grid, mostly it's correct. Some areas where it's not, but it's basically, yeah, it's pretty good. So that's kind of the first one. Everything needs to be concreted. I went with a design like this. So basically here is where you're putting your robo ports. So if I just find an unmolested bit of land, here we go. So you see there, it all kind of fits nicely. Quite like that. Hopefully you agree. It looks rather swish. And it is just really to make it sort of work, if that makes sense. So you can mess about. You can obviously add trees into this as well. So we have our whole anti-pollution blueprint. Blueprint available. Go and check the video where we talk about anti-pollution for that. Then we move on to things like the basics. So I've included in here the railway straight line. This is again standard. I've not upgraded that. And we've got a T-junction, which does have some, I think I got these from someone else. I apologize if I can't remember who, but I think these were just straightforward downloads from Factorio paste bin, I think, but I could be wrong. But it works. It's pretty good. It's all pretty simply done. Don't know why I put the signal there. It should be there. But anyway, that's that. I built this. This is my pride and joy. It's something that's already built in with the RoboPorts, but you don't necessarily need this because you don't need RoboPorts everywhere. But it's in terms of the grid structure, it's a good way to make sure you're placing it in the right place. So you can see there, it works quite nicely. So that's that. We then have, well, this is, again, I love this. This is my spaceport. Recommend building something like this. And I would even go to the nth degree with it as well. You have an ungodly amount of silos, 64. Wow. Okay, that's pretty crazy. But what I do note from it is it never really struggles to deliver, to get things into orbit. So if I, where's Snowflake Base? If I, Strangely Beige, are you in orbit? You are. Let's just add something to this just for fun times. Let's just add 5,000 rockets. So that then, so let's go back down. And you will see an ungodly amount of rockets being delivered, and you will see an awful lot of rockets taken off. I do it just because I enjoy seeing it, to be honest with you, but this just shows, again, having that ability to quickly get an awful lot of material and equipment up is very useful, particularly when building ships. This, oh, look at that, it's just, oh, lovely. Lovely jubbly, I love it. I think this is one of my favourite parts of Factorio, is watching the rockets take off. There we go. Let's just cancel that because we don't really need 5,000 rockets. So blueprints, that is our spaceport right there. Feel free to mess with it. Again, you can downgrade as needed. Some basic stuff here. Again, I do usually have this in the train book, but I think I'll just make it a one-stop shop for everything. So you've got your kind of oil car there. That's usually used when you're doing things like molten iron and molten copper, and then we have a standard train here. Again, the idea is you could just quickly, paste it down and give it a function, and off it goes. We then have our nuclear setup. So I am still using nuclear on this planet because I don't know what else to do with the uranium. So you might as well just carry on running it. I've upgraded a few of them, if I can remember where. I think it's one of these. Yeah, so this is all legendary, and it's producing, well, let's just say an awful lot of power. The legendary ones alone, well, no, most of it's coming from that, but it's pretty good. So, just 83 versus how many of them, and it's producing a quarter of that. So, it's probably worth it, but I like it. It looks good. One of the things I do want to do, and I'll probably do this when I have a moment, is just rationalize and beautify, good words, the water route. Because, everything needs to be a nice set of 4 pipes all channeling to the sea. And it should all be kind of coming through the middle here and not higgledy-piggledy as you see there. So, bit of work. But again, feel free, take the blueprint and improve it. Be my guest. This is stupid and it doesn't make sense. I need to look at this one. So by the time you get this blueprint book, it won't look like this. I'm not entirely sure you need speed and productivity here, because once you've got to insane levels of mining productivity, you don't need this. So let's ignore that one, but let me show you this one. The idea behind this one, and I'm just going to actually show you how I use it, is you can quickly place this on top of something and you're then pretty good. And you just then need to connect it to the train network and you're up and running. I mean, everything else is there, all the station and so on. So yeah, I was experimenting. I'll just show you my little experiment. So this is the Gleba hexagon. I don't like it. It doesn't really work. But one of the things I would like to do is put more hexagons on this that make more of a structure. So I think we'll do that. It's just getting to the point where, and everything in the world is about time. So we'll get to that point. We then have the beginnings of our grids, but I'll come back to that. We have my whip, if you're interested in that. We then have these the science blocks. This is the labs. So let me just show you what this is. So it's basically this. And this is obviously working rather splendidly. We have our solution for dealing with pollution. Look at that. Burning pollution and no problem at all. Basically, you just let the biters spawn and then kill them. It's easy. But this has worked quite well. I think it's 32,000 science per minute. Not bad, nothing to write home about, but nothing, not too shabby either. So pretty good. This brings us then to, well, a couple of administration blueprints. So I'm a strong believer in combiners. That's a powerful statement I just delivered to you there. They work really well because effectively, if I just show you that, all you need to do, and this helps for things like, 2-to-1s and so on, is you can just basically channel one product into one side, the other into the other, and then it just basically splits them so you can manufacture like this. So for red chips, really simple. You put your fast belt has your copper. I know you should actually do direct insert for things like this, but I just haven't got around to it. And it produces so many of them anyway. What's the problem, bro? So it's pretty good. One of the, again, I think I'm overproducing now, actually. Interesting. But that's kind of that blueprint. Really, really nice. Really, really works. We then have our straightforward balancer. Again, pretty useful. If I just go and show you maybe why. Particularly for train loading. If you don't do it, you're going to have a bad time, because that's a bad example there. So I have actually got a full balancer book here, which is, again, I got that from the internet. It's a wonderful place. You should check it out. Because if I think we've got a few of them there. So I'm trying to find just a 4-to-1. I think they're all 5s. Interesting. Well, generally, I think, no, that's a 5-to-1. Anyway, well, I've sort of blown my own stupidity there. You could do, I think 4 works. I don't think you need a 5. Yeah, that's a bit of a big one there as well. Anyway, you don't need a 5, but if you want the balancer book as well, just go to the internet and you'll find it. But this one, I think, is the one that I use an awful lot for things like I just showed. You have, let's just go find it. Where is red chips? There we are. So here it just means that you then load the train equally, because otherwise you'll load one carriage faster than another. And you don't want that. You want it to be balanced so that then it unloads and loads the same. So same with unloading. If I go here, you don't want it to be that one carriage unloads faster than another. So you basically put a balancer in so that it just splits the load. Hopefully that makes sense. In the book, we then have our basic construction thingamajig. This has had a bit of work because what I used to have before was it didn't work, because if you said, if I just copy the example here and let's show you it live, just put that there. So if we said we want to build an iron gear, it does, no, it won't send it to the thing now. So let me just quickly wire that in because it's worth showing. So you see it's just sent it's created an automatic request just for 2 plates. 2 plates is ridiculous because it will just take the time to deliver the 2 plates, and now it's sat waiting to be built. So now if we do it through our new method, the request is set to 100. It's a full stack, and that I think is, I mean, again, it's so simple, isn't it? But godsend really, because that means then 100 plates come to this, and it produces way quicker. I mean, this is on 2, this is now way ahead. So highly recommend that one is the one you use. Now you can parameterize that, but I'm not clever, I don't understand it, so a bit of work to do on that. Yeah, I've got to learn some of this stuff. We then have our copper and iron drop-offs. Now let me show you why this is important, because we have always gone with a kind of centralized foundry system here. So for example, we have a number of trains waiting to be dropping iron ore. We then have calcite, and then we may turn that into a rather large amount of liquid metal. And then, I know it makes no sense, but we then send that liquid metal where it's needed. So for example, if I come down to here, our liquid copper train turns up, delivers it into a set of silos, and then it produces something locally. It's better than transferring plates and doing things like that. So same again here, just transfers liquid molten iron. Again, doesn't make any sense, I know. And it delivers it basically to here. Interesting, why is that not producing? Oh wow, I forever have got that the wrong way around. There we go, I'm very stupid. That's probably 500 hours that has been sat like that. Oh god, I'm such an idiot, aren't I? Anyway, let's move swiftly on. So you have the 2 trains there, so iron and copper. All you need to do, if I just show you this in works, if I just place something there, the bots will build it. It requests the train automatically because it's obviously already set. So there'll be a train waiting. And boom, there we go. A train is on its way to deliver lovely hot molten fluid. Obvious joke there. Let's go to the next one. So we have, where do we get to? We have then this. This is a bit of a monster, this. I quite like this. I have yet to categorize it because I'm not entirely sure what to call it. But for me, it's kind of ridiculous manufacturing at speed. So here we have, for example, plates. So we want to produce plates in an ungodly level. So you have stack inserters. And in this case, I just produced them too quickly. So I've actually put energy efficiency modules in here. But again, the idea is this produces an ungodly amount of whatever you want to produce. So the beaconing is obviously going to help it. It's affected by 16 beacons, and they're in this case legendary. So it gives you productivity 110, speed 700. So pretty good. I'd recommend that. If you need something small and compact, then that's the way to do it. We then have the copper smeltery and the iron smeltery. Just bear in mind you need to combine it with the train stacker. So I just put that next to it there and put that back down there. So just bear that in mind. So if you do have this, let's just look at it, you have to have the thing that connects the trains here. I don't like this. I think if you're going to do a smeltery, maybe consider the octagon blueprint, because I think this has worked rather well, and it produces again a ridiculous amount of liquid whatever. So definitely worth a look there. That's just the stacker for it as well. So if you want one, let me just demonstrate. So if we wanted to place this, let's just place it there. You would then place the stacker. I'm teaching you how to suck eggs, I know. Connect. I think it's something like that. You can figure it out, but basically that's how you do it. So it works quite well. So let's carry on. We then have basic chip production. So here I've tried to squeeze in a bit of agriculture as well, because they obviously don't need the whole city block just for this. So I've added a bit there just to make life a bit easier. I quite like this. It's very effective, but I would say it's in no way is it optimized. It is redonkulously stupid, but it's one of these things I had to build quickly, and obviously I've done that, and it does seem to overproduce, which is really all you need. It doesn't have to necessarily be 100% efficient, but this thing is pretty good. Same for red chips. So red chips again here. Ignore the artillery. I don't think that's on the blueprint. Let me check that. Is it on the blueprint? No. But again, there's a lot of spare space here, and you could obviously quite comfortably get rid of some of this as well. But anyway, so that's that one. So you can use that. And then we have our blue chips. Blue chips is doubled up. So again, I probably should look to double up this one as well, because I think we underproduce red circuits a little bit. But blue chips obviously is just redonkulous. Look at that. It's just beautiful. So that works quite well. Let's continue. So we then have just some simple stuff here. So again, one of the key things that I find I'm trying to do all the time is to include stations, is to include new trains somewhere. So what I tend to do is just do like 1, 2, 3, 4 of this particular blueprint. You just have a double-headed train pretty much ready to go, and I think that works quite well. I think we've done the nuclear grid already, so I think I can get rid of that one. I think that's just a legendary nuclear grid, so let's just swap those around. There we go. Flying frames, nice and simple, not going to dwell too much. We have the LDS grid. This again, I'll show you this one because this is just mental. The way again it's designed is these beacons drive a very high output of material. The trains deliver again a huge amount of copper and iron in this case, and it's producing in this case steel, and it seems to work. Plastic train obviously is the one that's then delivering, but again probably unoptimized to heck, but again it's not too much of a problem. I think it looks good, it works, I quite like it. I've included, it's got a bit of space, and obviously if you overproduce, does it really matter if it's incredibly optimized? I don't think it does, because it just overproduces. So that's the LDS grid. We then have our stone foundry. This is a bit of a mess, so I'm just going to show you it, but if you want to place this one, I would recommend building in this loop here. This has been a bit of a bane for me, because the throughput of rock, stone, has been a real challenge, because if you want to keep these things running continually, which you obviously need to do. Is that legendary walls? Oh no. I was worried then I was making legendary walls. Something I really don't need. But this thing produces very quickly, and I quite like it, so I recommend that. You can never have enough stone. Uranium processing, again, the same sort of process here. So this does actually include all of the things we're doing around missile production as well, and we have also the upcycling, I think is in the blueprint. Let me just double check that. It is, so you can basically upcycle here as well, and you can basically just, you know, keep your quality program going as well. So then the final bit, so we've got science, which I won't look too deeply at because you can kind of have a look at them yourselves. We have our gas town grid. This is probably very important. Again, not very optimized, but it's all there. I've even included explosives, rockets, and armament production in that, and I think that's worked quite well. Fuel and plastic, so again, lots of fueling. So we have even included in this the fueling stations as well. And we have then our radars. So I operate a simple radar and then a legendary radar. And the radars, it's definitely worth doing legendary radars because you can see so much more. And then these bottom ones, we've just included the upgrade planner for if you want it. And then things like my legendary smeltery. So here is where we're taking in all of the copper, and LDS structure breakdown basically is producing a huge amount of legendary copper. We're then bussing in legendary iron, and this then just produces everything. So legendary green, blue, red. We then have our module production. I will show you this because this is actually a relatively useful blueprint. We have our module production here, so we're then producing things from that. And then we have things like batteries, engines. It's just a small kind of, let's say, pocket production, which then just gives you all the things that you need for things like, you know, legendary drones, for example. So that I think has been rather useful, actually. Probably move that up a bit because that's actually quite useful. And then everything else, like the original silo hub, not that much of a fan of this, but I've included it because there might be somebody that wants to look at it. I've included the original green circuit sort of optimal design. So again, if you just want something to get going, I've included again the optimal smeltery grid here. It doesn't need to be legendary. I need to downgrade that. And then we have the, again, this is an old blueprint. I don't do this anymore, but I've included it for things like this bit here. So you've got this sort of LDS breakdown and so on. So if you wanted to, you could just get rid of all of that. But I have included things like the biter hub as well. So there we go. What a wonderful rambling video talking about blueprints. I think if you have been excited and interested by that, then sir, you are a Factorio player. I hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.